I am a Palestinian refugee. My grandparents were forcibly displaced and slaughtered during the 1948 Nakba, so that settlers from all over the world can declare an ethnically pure, religious-based state on my land. My family, through 3 generations, suffered Israeli aggression, imprisonment, and massacres, including the famous Sabra and Shatila massacre in 1982.
My mom is Iraqi and my father is Palestinian. He was born in 1948, in the year of Nakba. He got to breathe Palestinian air for 3 months before he was displaced to Syria. My grandfather used to say his bad luck. They showed no resistance for the sake of their baby. Others chose not to move and met their fate, which was being killed in their own homes.
My family and me, much like most Palestinian families, were forced to make their life choices based on a survival mode, with the option of being erased anytime and anywhere available, because our murderers are internationally recognized and protected by forces of Western hegemony.
My grandparents' neighbors were Jewish, and they used to babysit for each other, and for Christians as well. But we don't see this these days. Zionists don't respect others. We know this is not against Muslims only. But watch how they spit and they push Christians into their processions and in every single event Christians have. The way they bomb churches, but the media doesn't tell you that. They tell you that they are targeting Hamas. I actually didn't know that Hamas went to church.
Did you know that more than 8,000 Palestinians are imprisoned in Israeli jail? More than 3,000 are behind bars without charges or trial. Shame! More than 300 children are behind bars and they are abused physically and emotionally. More than 300 children! And some sentenced to 20 years. Their crime, the crime they committed, is throwing stones on Israeli tanks.
This story, my story, is still privileged compared to what's happening in Gaza now. The only things I share with the people in the besieged Gaza Strip is our status as refugees, our dream of liberation, return, and freedom. As we stand today in support of Gaza against the unprecedented genocidal attack targeting its people.
The illegal colonial state was created as a compensation for what happened in the Holocaust. I'd like to mention that not only Jewish were targeted in the Holocaust, but gypsies, handicapped, minority, any dark-skinned person was also targeted in the Holocaust.
Neighborhoods are still being erased, and more than 2 million human beings sit every day asking themselves, will this be my last day? Will this be my last breath? Will this be my last thought in life? And then imagine, or just try to imagine, them looking at their loved ones and asking themselves, who will cry the other first?
Zionists, on the other hand, and they are proud of this, they tell you, in war, everything is allowed. Kill. Target the children so they don't grow and have their own children again. Kill the root. Their war is ethnic cleansing and a genocide at this stage.
This is not about Hamas. In Gaza today, more than 15,000 have been killed, including 6,000 children. 7,000 still missing, half of them children. 35,000 injured, half of them children. Public buildings destroyed, schools destroyed, hospitals destroyed, churches destroyed, and the list is long.
Some families in Gaza are applying what they call a damage control strategy against the genocide. Families are sending their children, especially the infants and babies, to to various relatives in different areas in the Strip, just to avoid being completely annihilated and to save the bloodline of the family.
Arresting innocents, expanding settlements in the West Bank, and committing ethnic cleansing in Jerusalem. All that has happened while the whole world is watching, just watching silently.
The daily duties of a Palestinian nowadays is get from under the gravel trapped children. Sometimes they can't, and it breaks them to hear underneath the heavy concrete their cries. They even have time to rescue cats and dogs, while Zionists say, "You're not dying fast enough."
The extent of war declared on Gaza would have never gone that far had it not been for the United States and the European Union. In fact, Palestinians are now bombed with more than 1,000 tons per day of artillery supplied by the US and the EU. That is, our genocide is literally funded, supported, and executed by the governments of the US and the EU. For us, this is not new. This has always been the case since the beginning of the Zionist project on our land. After all, we know that Israel is nothing but an advanced military base for securing Western hegemony over our region.
Without resistance, we perish. The doctor that works 24/7 is resistance. The mother that doesn't collapse after seeing her child dead is resistance. An orphan child is resistance. Palestinian daily life is resistance because they will not move. They will not leave. When Zionists claimed that there were 40 beheaded babies and it was all lies, have you not seen the anchor in Al Jazeera cry as he gave the news about the little girl who was indeed beheaded? They use lies as they have no equal horror stories to tell about us. We are not like this. We don't want to kill, we just want freedom.
What does it really mean to be pro-Palestine at this moment? Is it just crying over our dead bodies? Or do you really want to support Palestine? If so, then below are a few suggestions for things each and every one of us can do from our safe places to support the Palestinian people in Gaza. First, we need to investigate and develop ways to provide immediate support to the people in Gaza, including medical supplies, water, and food. We also need to block and rebound all forms of Zionist propaganda, especially those propagated by Western media outlets, including the demonization of the Palestinian people and the Palestinian resistance, and the equating of the oppressed people's resistance to the oppressor's violence.
The fact that we are together today, it shows that we don't want to be a silent witness anymore. We don't want to be partners in crime.
The US Army, the British Army, when they killed 1 million Iraqis, claiming they were weapons of mass destruction. How are you considered heroes? And we, in our own land, are considered terrorists.
We need to protest and prevent the potential use of US military bases here in Ireland to supply weapons and artillery to the Israeli and US forces currently operating against Gaza. This is our duty here in Ireland.
Israel has the right to defend itself. Violence is not justified. This is answering to Hamas's aggression. So what should they do? What is happening these days is not new. Palestinians die every day for the past 75 years.
We need to amplify Palestinian voices, adopt the complete Palestinian narrative, and commit to unconditional support to the Palestinian people's resistance until complete liberation of Palestine.
Israel is not targeting anything but hospitals, shelters, electricity, bread bakeries, and the press. Child after child, baby after baby, there is no place to go. Gaza was an open-air prison and now is a growing graveyard.
Today, to the young Palestinian child standing in the middle of the remaining or what was once called home, I tell him, you are not alone. We are with you. You inspire us.
I would like to say, in front of a people that have stood against imperial genocide and fought for 400 years and more, so that your generations can stand now as proud Irishmen and women, I would like to say that we stand humble in front of the immense sacrifice that the people of Gaza and our freedom fighters all over Palestine are providing in our fight for freedom. And as a wise Irishman once said, but with a small twist, they have nothing in their whole imperial arsenal that can break the spirit of one Palestinian who refuses to be broken.
Palestinians give me hope and put anyone to shame with our insignificant daily problems. When I have a warm meal, when my children and my cats are safe, clean and happy, I remember Palestinian superheroes who have nothing other than hope and faith. And they stand strong with God's words. In the Holy Quran says, and never think that God isn't aware of what the wrongdoers do. He only delays them for the day of judgment, when eyes will stare in horror. This is their hope. Their only hope is that in the day of judgment they'll get what they deserve.
Tomorrow is a new day, and you will rebuild your home. You will rebuild your school, your hospital, your church and mosque. You will keep teaching the world how to live and how to love. Tomorrow is a new day. You will get up much stronger than before and 100 miles closer to our victory and our freedom.
Despite all the bloodshed, the demonization, and the participation of the so-called free world governments in our genocide, the Palestinian people and the Palestinian resistance are manifesting the words of our brilliant freedom fighter, author and martyr Ghassan Kanafani, who once wrote, "We Palestinians can present a live example of a people who have risen from the rubbles of thousands of defeats with our own arms and insisted, despite everything, to provide love, justice and virtue to a world that has given us nothing but hatred, prejudice and evil. Our day has come. Free Palestine."
My dream for next generation, for our great-grandchildren, is that they see the day where in history books Israel is thought to be colonial, racist, illegal settling, who has committed the most atrocious and unspeakable war crimes in humanity.